Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam, and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And today we're going to talk about some of the most high-octane movies you can currently watch on Netflix. So these movies all feature stunts, fast cars, car chases, all that awesome stuff, and they also all happen to be really great movies, or at least most of them do. The last couple on the list, which we will talk about first, are obviously the weakest ones on the list, but I will explain who those movies are best suited for as we go on with the video. This video is sponsored by CyberGhost VPN, and later on in the video I will tell you how you can access more movies with your current Netflix subscription using their service. It just so happens that my number one pick is the oldest movie on the list, and it's one of the older movies on Netflix right now because Netflix does not have many movies that predate 1979, but The Car was released in 1977. So with this one, be sure you're watching the right one because there is sort of a remake-ish type thing that just frankly looks awful that's also on Netflix. But this movie is about a rogue car that is killing people. Think kind of like Stephen King's Christine, whereas Christine is not only the better movie, it's also the better story. This is just kind of a basic concept, like a summer popcorn movie. The car looks kind of wild, and it's just like running people over in the desert, and some of the local townsfolk have to figure out what to do about it. If that's not ringing your bell, it's not going to be worth watching. Like I said, it's from 1977, and the quality is decent for the year that it is. There's no issues there, but it is sort of a drive-in style movie. But if that was not revving your engine up, I got plenty more to pick from on this list. Now, there are a ton of movies named Heist. I say a ton. It's probably 5 or 6, but this one stars Robert De Niro, Dave Bautista, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Gina Carano, killer cast, and a great concept about a heist gone wrong where the getaway car is a public bus and they cannot obviously elude the police for long. So it kind of becomes this chase. There are a lot of sequences in this movie that look like something straight out of Speed. None of it is as good as Speed, unfortunately. But if you look at this as sort of like a straight to streaming, which I believe it was, type of a movie, it's actually pretty excellent. You would have higher expectations for it because of De Niro and some of the other people involved. But if you just sort of get that out of your mind and want to watch like kind of a fun heist getaway type movie, this one's got enough meat on the bone to sink your teeth into. And as a bonus recommendation, if that is not enough Gina Carano for you, because it's not enough for me, Haywire is also on Netflix right now. I do recommend that movie with the caveat that it is not very successful in the storytelling department. There are a lot of flaws with that movie. In fact, that movie's kind of famously flawed because it also has a killer cast. I don't know if Gina Carano is just cursed or what, but I like her a lot in both movies, and I do enjoy both movies with the right mindset. Now, this next pick was one of my top picks on my most viewed video of all time because it is loaded with sex, blood, and bullets, and it also has a decent car chase in it. That is 68 Kill. This is kind of an action comedy thing. This one's very adult. It's about a guy who's got a smoking hot girlfriend who is an insane person. And she takes him on this crazy wackadoo adventure that he does not want to go on, and it gets dark in a hurry, and it is hilarious. She kills it in this role. I mean, it's a really funny role, and it's kind of a difficult thing to pull off. I thought the lead actress here nailed it. And then while like the car chase isn't one of the best, I mean, we're not talking about Bullet here or anything, it's just fun and crazy and wild, and it fits right in here on this high octane list. So if you just want to watch a movie that's totally unhinged, that's really kind of a hidden gem, forget about not watching this one while the kids are in the room. I wouldn't watch this one if the kids were playing on the back porch. Like, this one is that intense, but because of that, I loved it. I happen to think that the most underrated Netflix original movie of 2019 was Six Underground. This is directed by Michael Bay, which gets his fair share of shit in terms of a director, considering he sort of invented some pretty wild types of stuff that are just boilerplate and action movies now. So I am not on the Michael Bay hate bandwagon, but I do find movies like Transformers to be kind of like really just a mess in terms of story. Six Underground's not that much of an exception in that department, but it was so fun, I was able to overlook a lot of that stuff. The action sequences in this go on for a long time, including an opening car chase that just keeps going, and it set the tone very early, which I thought was great, because I got right into this movie. I knew what I was going to expect. Fans of the Fast and Furious franchise should love this movie if you haven't seen it already. Again, a little bit of a mess in terms of a story and movie, but just fun. Like, it just doesn't leave anything on the table. It's just a fun watch, and it's definitely high octane. Now, an even better Netflix original movie that was done for a fraction of the cost is Wheelman. This stars Frank Grillo, and almost exclusively Frank Grillo, because he is the wheelman during a heist. I know, another heist, if you can believe that. And something goes wrong, but you have to follow him in this car. So the camera never leaves the car, very much like Locke with Tom Hardy, whereas that was more of a personal drama. This is an action movie. There are car chases, there are shootouts, but you're always with Frank Grillo's character in the car, and it works really well. I think that aspect maybe kept the budget down, but it also was just sort of a fun, different experience, and is certainly a hidden gem of a Netflix original, because this actually came out before they started heavily promoting Netflix originals. So it didn't get any fanfare or any sort of buzz when it was released. A lot of people didn't know about it. If you've yet to see it and you clicked on this video, you want to watch some car chases and shit, definitely check out Wheelman. So maybe you're in another country and not all of these movies are available where you live, or maybe you're in the US and you're still running out of stuff to watch despite me giving you recommendations like this every single week. Consider using today's sponsor, CyberGhost VPN. Like all VPN services, it keeps your web browsing private and secure. Most browsers track your actions online so that they can then sell that data, and then you can be marketed to. It's also more secure to use a VPN, but beyond that, you can see and watch what's on Netflix in a bunch of other countries using the service. Not only that, they have a 45-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk if you don't like the way it functions, or you don't like using it, or you just find that you don't work it into your daily routine. You can cancel it and get your money back. They've got great 24/7 customer support. You can use it simultaneously on up to 7 devices, and it's all the types of devices that you're used to using. Right now, when you use the link in the description below, you can pay as little as $2.75 a month. That's less than $3 a month, less than the movie rental, to access way more movies. And I'm talking like big budget movies. We mentioned Fast and the Furious. Movies like that are on Netflix in other countries, but they're not in the US. Likewise, all the movies on this list are available here in the US and not necessarily in other countries. I know a lot of you have been loving the service, which is why they continue to support the show, but let's go ahead and move on with my top 5 picks. Now, 3 Netflix originals in a row. This one is a new one that a lot of people miss because it is foreign language, but the dubbing is quite good on this, and I had a ton of fun watching Lost Bullet. This is about sort of an expert mechanic who goes to prison and then is then pulled out to kind of work on cars for this special task force where they're sort of like reinforcing these cars. So you're gonna see some gnarly car crashes, and the really cool thing about Lost Bullet, the reason it makes this spot on the list, is not just because there's cool stuff going on in it. This is old-fashioned stunt stuff. This is when the car is on fire and the guy's driving it. He's really driving it at speed down a real street, and there are real flames sort of getting bigger and tucking into the driver's side window. It's that kind of shit. I love that stuff. That's why I love this movie. In addition to that, it's kind of a cool story. It's a very simple story, so it works amid a lot of action, which is perfect. There's some cool stuff in here you've never seen before. Man, when these cars crash, debris just goes everywhere. They did such a great job shooting this movie. And then again, the crime element that gets interwoven totally works. It serves the action, and the action serves the story likewise. I totally dug it. If you don't normally watch things with subtitles, don't worry about it. The dubbing is great. It's well worth sort of like the lips not matching up to what they're saying to watch this one. If you want to know more, or you're already a channel member, I did do a more in-depth review of this movie talking about some of the stunt work, but there is a join button right below the video. click that and you can learn more about what it means to become a channel member and support the show that way and get access to some bonus content. Now, one of the better cop movies to have come out in recent years is End of Watch. One of the things I really like about this movie is not just that Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena had great performances and really amazing chemistry, is that it was shot in a way that felt very real. Even though these are very famous guys, very recognizable guys, they felt very genuine to me as LA police officers, and the way it's shot feels kind of like a documentary at times, and that totally works. There's not a ton of action in this one, but when it pops off, it really pops off, and it also stays grounded and feels very real, which is what keeps that intensity high. If you've never seen this one and you love good crime movies, it's well worth checking out. My next pick is easily the most intense pick on this list, and it was just recently added back to Netflix, and that is Hardcore Henry. If you clicked on this video and you have not seen Hardcore Henry, make sure it's something you do soon. This one is so cool for one reason alone. They filmed it as a first-person shooter type thing. They had a rig on the main actor and stuntman's head. They're one and the same in this movie. The main actor is a stuntman who's really doing the parkour and the fighting and the shooting and everything that you're seeing. He has a rig on his face that is capturing everything. And not only is that a cool concept, and not only does it just feel intense, the story that they weave with this crazy sci-fi secret agent type thing works perfectly with this crazy format they came up with. You know, you would think, okay, cool concept, it's a gimmick, the movie's not that great. No, the story and everything that unfolds totally works in this format. It's amazing how well it all works together. It's insane, it's intense, it's in your face, it's wild. I don't need to say anything more about it. If you love the way I'm talking about it, you are gonna love the experience of watching Hardcore Henry at the very least. Even if you don't love the movie, you'll love that you watched it. Okay, before my top two, we're going to talk about some honorable mentions just to get a couple of extra picks out of the list, because I believe we've got 13 or 14 in total on this list. Drive is a personal, long-time favorite of mine. It fits perfectly on this list. In fact, if I had to put it anywhere, I would probably put it right here between Hardcore Henry and my number 2 pick. But I have talked about it several times recently, so it misses this list, which means it's also a good time to mention if you're new here, definitely consider clicking that subscribe button, because I do put lists like this out every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. Bloodfather stars Mel Gibson and does have some great motorcycle scenes in it, including a pretty killer motorcycle chase and some good shootouts. Another one that I have mentioned recently. This one on this list would probably be further towards the back, maybe like number 7 or 8 spot. And then the Green Hornet is probably like my number 11 or 12 pick for this list, so it gets bumped to honorable mention. But this one does have a really cool car in it with guns built in, and they use it well in the movie too. There's some pretty wild stuff. It's just kind of a dumb movie, and I really feel like it doesn't work well. It is based on an old TV show. Fans of the show, I don't think, really like the movie. And people who never heard of the show, I don't think really like this movie either, but it does have some fun elements to it. If you're totally bored and looking for something to watch and you've seen everything else on this list, give The Green Hornet a shot. Now, my number 2 pick is a classic you've likely seen more than once, but you may have forgotten that it contains a boat chase, a motorcycle chase, a tank chase with a horse. Some of you are now figuring out that this is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now, the entire Indiana Jones trilogy is currently on Netflix at the time of me posting this video at least, but The Last Crusade has the most like high-octane sort of chase sequences. You remember the old wooden boats? That scene's badass. The motorcycle chase is awesome. The desert sequence, the entire long sequence with the horse and the tank is so incredible. I love this movie. I love the trilogy. For the longest, this was my favorite, but I've since sort of more appreciated Raiders of the Lost Ark for being the original one. I think it does ultimately work a little bit better than this one. That's just my personal opinion, but feel free to let me know in the comments which Indiana Jones movie is your favorite. And I know it's not going to be the Crystal Skull, so don't even try to play that one. And then before my number 1 pick, I know some of you are probably wondering what is up with this shirt. Metalheads, check out VINTERSEA. There is a link in the description to their YouTube channel and their Spotify. Not only are their videos and their music badass, but I do have it on good authority that the lead singer is an avid watcher of Flick Connection. So she's one of you. Check out their stuff when you get a chance. But let's go ahead and move on with my number one pick, which is the second oldest movie on the list from 1979, a long-time personal favorite of Darren Van Dam's, Mad Max.
Max is a cop, one of the best.
Where does they're out to get you? Scoot jockeys? Yeah, nomad trash. Well, I'll add it to my thread collection.
Netflix just added this. I love it, and I'm gonna geek out on it for a second. I love the whole Mad Max series. I go back and forth between which is my favorite, and I'll be honest, I don't really feel like the first one is my favorite. If anything, it might be my least favorite, but I still love it. That's how much I love these movies. One of the things I love about watching all of them is they evolve over time, very much like the Dollars trilogy or the Man with No Name trilogy from Sergio Leone. I really feel like the Mad Max series is sort of like reworking the same concept multiple times, and you get to see this evolution, which is one of the reasons I still love the first one. The cars are great in it. It's original. It's so original. So much of the way post-apocalyptic movies look and work and function is based on what was created with Mad Max, and I absolutely love it for it, in addition to just the sick chases and cars and stuff in this movie. If you've never seen it and you love my recommendations, I'm giving you a strong recommendation. Even if you don't like watching older movies, this one is the slowest of the entire series, but do yourself a favor, initiate yourself into the Mad Max cult, and check it out soon. If you want to watch the others, they're available on HBO. It may just be HBO Max or HBO proper, I'm not really sure, but go check them all out. I recommend watching the entire trilogy close together. That's it for the list. Thanks for letting me ramble and geek out on one of my favorite movies of all time. I appreciate you watching. Let me know in the comments what you look forward to watching. Let's also thank the Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter and support the channel, there is a link in the description. There's also that join button, the VINTERSEA link, links to more videos if you want more movie recommendations, and of course the CyberGhost VPN link. Be sure to check that out if you want to access more movies, but I will keep making videos like this one as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for checking out this special episode, and you will see me on the next one.